Shrooms, magic mushrooms. You've probably heard the names. But what's the real story behind them? Well, today we're going to dive into their ancient roots, their pretty powerful effects, and their really complicated place in our world right now.
So, first things first, you got to understand that these fungi are nothing new. I mean, we're talking about a history that goes back thousands of years. They were used in sacred rituals by cultures like the Aztecs. Then they were pushed underground, only to pop back up as a symbol of the 1960s counterculture. Which brings us right to today, where they're at the center of some major medical and legal debates.
Okay, so that brings us to the big question. What are we actually talking about when we say shrooms? Let's get into what's actually going on here.
All right, so the magic, if you will, all comes down to one compound called psilocybin. This is the natural hallucinogenic drug inside these mushrooms, and it's the thing responsible for changing a person's thoughts, their emotions, and yeah, their whole perception of reality.
And since we're going to be talking about it a lot, let's just get this one out of the way. It's pronounced psilocybin. Psilocybin. There you go.
So how do people actually use them? Well, there are a few common ways. The most straightforward is just eating them dried. But people also steep them into tea, or they might grind them into a powder and put them in capsules or mix them into drinks. You can even cook with them, though that's a bit less common.
All right, this is the big question, right? What does taking them, what does it actually feel like?
Well, for starters, you can expect things to kick in after about 30 minutes. And the whole experience? It's going to last somewhere between 3 and 6 hours. So yeah, it's definitely not a short-term commitment.
Now, this is absolutely crucial to understand. There's no one-size-fits-all trip. Your experience is intensely personal. It can be influenced by just about everything. Your age, your weight, how much you take, what you ate that day, and even where you are, who you're with, and what you expect to happen. Your own personality plays a huge role.
The range of what you might feel is, well, it's wide. On the psychological side, you could feel intense euphoria, a sense of well-being, or even have spiritual feelings. But then there's the physical side, which can be pretty unpleasant. We're talking nausea, dizziness, chills, a racing heart. It's a real roll of the dice.
And this is where things get really interesting and really complicated. We're talking about the huge tension between the incredible promise some people see in psilocybin and the very, very real dangers that come along with it.
So let's talk about the promise side of that coin. Right now, researchers are looking into psilocybin as a potential treatment for some really tough conditions. Things like severe depression, addiction to alcohol or cocaine, OCD, and even helping people cope with the anxiety of a terminal illness. The early results have been pretty remarkable. But, and this is a huge but, we have to be super clear. None of this is approved by the FDA. This research is still in its early days. We are a long, long way from this being a standard medical treatment.
Okay, so that's the potential upside. What about the other side? What are the risks?
And look, the risks are no joke. The single most deadly risk is accidental poisoning, picking the wrong mushroom. Then you have the psychological risks of a so-called bad trip, which can mean hours of intense fear, paranoia, and pure panic. And taking too much can lead to some scary physical stuff like seizures or even a coma.
Honestly, that first risk is the one that can't be stressed enough. As Healthline puts it, the biggest risk is that psilocybin mushrooms look very similar to some types of poisonous mushrooms. Misidentifying one could be a fatal mistake. It's a life-threatening danger, period.
So you've got this deep history, these powerful effects, this tension between promise and peril, and all of it is happening inside a legal system that's, well, starting to shift.
Let's get one thing straight right off the bat. Federally, in the U.S., psilocybin is a Schedule I drug. That puts it in the exact same category as heroin. The government sees it as having a high potential for abuse with no accepted medical use. That makes it illegal to have, sell, or give away anywhere in the country.
But this is where things get complicated at the local level. Some cities, like Denver, Oakland, and Seattle, are taking a different approach. They've moved to decriminalize it. Now, that doesn't make it legal. What it means is that law enforcement in those places has made possession of small amounts their lowest priority.
All right, so let's just pull this all together for a second. What do we need to remember? 1, these mushrooms have ancient roots in ceremony and medicine. 2, their effects are incredibly complex. They can be euphoric, but they can also be physically and mentally distressing. And 3, we are right smack in the middle of a modern debate where amazing medical potential is clashing with serious risks and major legal barriers.
And that all leaves us with this one giant question that nobody has the answer to yet. Will these ancient fungi, which have been part of human culture for millennia, find a new, accepted role in the future of medicine? You know, only time and a whole lot more research is going to tell.